Why do I look the way I look? Well, it's my image. If people didn't see this on me, they probably would walk past me. If I walked around in jeans and sneakers, it's helped me a lot. A lot of men flock to me. They flock to my poster.
We'll talk to Reggie. Reggie, thanks for calling you on BET Talk.
Sex sales, bottom line.
Cardi B, the rapper, you know her, right? You know of her. Anyway, she's been called a hypocrite for not letting her daughter listen to her song that she did in collaboration with another rapper called Meg the Stallion, called WAP. She went viral because she refused to let her 2-year-old daughter called Culture listen to her hit song.
The daughter is called Culture?
Yes.
Culture?
Yes.
Culture that we talk about all the time?
Yep. Cardi B, who has 80.5 million subscribers on Instagram. Cardi B did what every responsible parent should do. Look, you guys are blaming her for your children turning out as thought. You guys are blaming Cardi B for your children turning out rubbish. But it is up to you in the household to determine what kind of songs you're gonna play in the household, what your children are listening to, what your children are going to be listening to. I had a lot of freedom as a kid to listen to whatever. Now when I go back and I listen to some of those lyrics, I'm like, yo, these were actually some very serious lyrics. Even the Spice Girls, they have some lyrics that are like, okay, this is definitely not for children. But we were singing it. But you know, back in the day, it could be seen as, they would disguise it, right? It could be seen as this, like this very PG-13. But you could also, if you're grown and you really understood the lyrics, it could also be seen, oh, this is what they mean. But as a kid, you didn't know, right? And most of the times, even the parents who heard it, they didn't really even listen to what it was that was going on, right? But these lyrics are very explicit. I mean, too explicit that if you have 16-year-olds walking around, yeah, that's how they end up on 16 and pregnant, basically, because they want to figure out what these people are talking about, right? It's too explicit. It's too raunchy. It's almost like giving you a step-by-step of, oh, this is how you do this stuff, okay? This is how you go about doing the tantantana, right? But people are calling her a hypocrite because this is her song that obviously she wants it to do well and go platinum and go gold and go first and all these type of things, but it's not good for children. And she knows this, because she's protecting and shielding her own child from this music. People were blasting her, people were bashing her, people were going in on her because they said, you're a hypocrite. You made the song, and now you are showing us that you know it's not fit for children. When did she say that this song was fit for children? Never. It reminds me of this interview that Lil Kim had.
12-year-old right here who loves you to death. She listens to your music. You may be surprised, parents, but this little girl told me she listens to it on a Walkman and mom and dad don't know what she's listening to. I'd like to know how you're influencing that young lady. And how do you listen to this music? How do you get away with that in the house?
I listen to it on a Walkman.
So let me ask you, a nice little girl like you, what you doing listening to music like that? How would you answer that?
I like it.
You like it. How do you help little 12-year-olds like this understand that the music that they're listening to should not affect their lives? We're concerned about 12-year-olds singing about sex like this. Yeah. So what do you say, Lil Kim?
Well, I definitely think that Chanel is too young, but mostly I think that she listens to it for the sound and for me being a young, positive, black young woman doing my thing, you know what I'm saying, and getting over a hump. And I want you to make sure you keep God in your life. And me as an older person to you, I want you to, be sure, I feel that you're too young to be having sex. You're too young to be listening to my music too. But if you're going to listen to it, make sure you do the right thing. Don't go out and have sex for the wrong reasons.
Certain type of music is maybe for certain times in your life. When the freaky dicky time comes, people can be playing WAP all they want. But to be walking around like 11-year-olds singing this on TikTok and stuff like that to me is scary, because it's just kind of scary. But at the same time, as parents, you need to know what your children are listening to. But when they're older, obviously they have their own devices. It's very hard. I go back and forth because it's very hard. When they're older, they have their own devices.
I listen to it on a Walkman.
You can't be with them 24/7 to see what they're listening to. On their way to school, at school, on the park. You can't really see all that. But like I said, for me, I was free to listen to all this stuff, and I turned out just fine. I turned out just fine because I wasn't shielded too much. So I didn't really have that curiosity. I went, saw this stuff for myself, and I was like, okay, but it wasn't a lifestyle that I was pursuing. And it's all about how you are raised as well, because these songs can't raise you. At the end of the day, you need people in your life to raise you. So if you are in a stable household, you got your parents or any other guardian they're stable, they're going to give you good advice, your child should not turn into any kinds of nothing just because they're listening to interesting music. Like, I don't see how music can really raise people. It does, but it's wrong. We need to ensure that these kids are in stable households where, you know, you can let them listen to whatever, maybe even listen with them and be like, you know, that's not right. You know, this is not for you. Do you know what they're talking about? Do you know what she's actually saying?
We're role models, but as long as they've got it in the right way, then they should understand the things that we do. What makes this poster or me any different than a model? What makes me any different than Madonna? I mean, these are people who have a lot of publicity around us, you know what I mean? So I really think that it has a big effect on children, and they should be guided in the right way.
Don't go out there and be saying this out in the streets. Don't go and embarrass me. And don't, know what you're saying. There are two sides. There is the let your child listen to whatever, but then again, you wouldn't let them listen to this type of whatever, and not at 2 years old. It's too young. It's too young. So what she did here is good. Just put it off. That's what everybody should be doing. But what are we seeing on social media? People putting this song on, twerking, and kids just emulating what they're seeing their parents do. They're just doing the same thing, bouncing up and down, trying to twerk, and the parents think it's funny, and they're putting it all over social media. It is not funny. It is not funny, and it depends on how explicit the song lyrics are as to, what you're gonna let your children listen to. But they will find out one way or the other. So at the same time, it's like, if it's very explicit like this, definitely shield it from children. If they're a bit older, like 11, 12, 13 and stuff like that, try and have discussions with the children, like, do you know what you're singing? Because they're all over TikTok singing these things. And these kids these days, they're all wearing crop tops. They're all like a stick like this, and they're showing their belly and doing all these moves and stuff. And there's these weirdos out there as well. So you need to be careful. You need to let them understand that this is not funny. This is quite serious and could be quite dangerous for you. So anyway, what she did for the age that her child is at, for how explicit the song is, great. Shield it from them. They do not need to know. Have no business knowing. When they get older, maybe don't shield them from everything, but rather explain to them. But even then, this is actually what I need to get at. Even then, you wouldn't be doing this with them. You wouldn't be the way she's standing there, all kinds of dancing, trying to promote the song, and have the child in the back also be dancing at the age of 16, whatever. Even at the age of 25, it's just awkward. I would think it's awkward to be talking about these explicit things. So yeah, she's trying to separate the mommy life and the celebrity entertainer with explicit lyrics life. But the fact of the matter is, she's the same person, but she's making that decision of, I don't want my child listening to this. So if all of you were wise, you wouldn't let your child listen to it either. If she doesn't, you shouldn't either.
If you know that the song is bad like that, don't let your child listen to it, and stop them from listening to those things on the telly and so on. It will not help them, because it changes their lifestyle of the children. Or they think it's normal. Children think differently.
And we grew up listening to this type of music from the old days, the stylistic, the symphonic, and it was explicit. It wasn't as detailed as the music is now, but it was our parents that drew the line and said, no, you don't listen to this. Maybe when you get a little older, you can listen to this.
Right.
As far as the children is concerned, it is up to the parents or whoever the children are guided by to say, listen, this music is not for you all. You all do your job by placing the labels on the tapes and the CDs that you all sell. And that's it. This is entertainment for the adult folk.
Right. It goes back to the upbringing, because I was able to listen to everything and anything. My parents had no clue what this was and that was. Some of the lyrics were even going too fast, and with all the accents and stuff, they didn't have a clue what I was listening to, right? So I was listening to everything, but there were some songs that were explicit that somehow, even as a kid, I'm talking like 8, 9, 10, I knew they were explicit, and I just wasn't interested, right? And that is because of the way I was raised. I wasn't interested in all that. I knew it was kind of wrong, kind of nasty, and I didn't want any parts in it. And then I also had good friends and friends around me who also just behaved like kids. You know, now we have 8-year-old supermodels. You know, I can't really show pictures, but you have 8-year-old supermodels who look like they're 35. And it's when you look closer, you're like, wait a second, this is a heavily make-up, caked up little kid. And so these days, the children, and if you go on TikTok and all of social media, the children don't really live like children. So I had friends that we would go around and play in the streets and in the bushes and in the what do you call it, I don't know, wherever we could find a stick to make a house with and some leaves to create a roof with. I mean, we were kids for real. Never take that for granted. But so my friends are also the type to not really be into all this explicit stuff and so on and so forth. You need good upbringing, and from there, even a child can go into school and pick the ones they want to be their friends, so that you're always held accountable. You're always brought back down to humility and back to being a kid and back to just being normal, because you do have a choice. Nobody is necessarily forced into friendships here. Kids need to be kids. Don't expose them to this.
They are not going to buy the music, so you buy it, and if you want to listen to it, listen to it yourself, but don't allow your children to listen to it. And don't blame the person who made the song, because they have nothing to do. They are not in your house.
No. I listened to the song once when it first came out, because I was like, ooh, this collab is interesting, because I really want to see an end to this rappers war. Even though I don't really listen to their music like that, I am abreast of what's happening in pop culture and stuff like that. And I just think it's sad that these female rappers cannot get along. And so when I saw that these two were collaborating, I was like, ooh, now that is interesting. Obviously, at first when we heard WAP, we didn't really know what that meant. Now we all know what it means, but it's just kind of that's it. I watched it once and never went back. That's not something you're going to hear me, you know, listening to and we're walking around and stuff like that. No, it's not for me. But if you insist on listening to it, don't let your children hear it. Do what she did. If the maker of the song knows what to do with it, you should follow suit. This is not healthy for little kids at all. You're pumping the wrong ideas into their brains. They're just going to turn out wild if they listen to too much of this stuff, and also have bad friends at school and stuff like that. Nah, 16 and pregnant, that's what's going to happen. It's bad. But don't blame her. You guys are the ones making her rich in the first place off of this song. So if you really had a problem with it, you wouldn't have it on your phone either. You wouldn't be listening to it either. So that's that. In any case, if you're not already part of the family, make sure you hit the bump stomp as on the subscribe button. Comment because I want to know what you think. Like because you obviously like this video, and hit the notification bell once you're at it. I'll see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow. Daily videos up in here. In the meantime, make time for glorious life. It's time to start what? Living it right. God bless. Somebody says, so your daughter can't listen to it, but everyone else's daughter can? Okay. Exactly what I've been saying. You have an agenda to push with that trash ass label you're with. Disgusting.
Don't blame her.
You cannot be
She's making her money.
Yeah, you can't be your own individual and blame Cardi B. That is silly to me. You guys download this stuff. That makes no sense whatsoever. She said, you need to stop with this already. I'm not Jojo Siwa. I don't make music for kids. I make music for adults.
What a world.
And if you do decide one day that you want to have sex, use a condom, because I'm pretty sure you're old enough to get pregnant and catch a disease. I'm 18 or something.
Yeah, you talk to your mother and father about that too. Okay. Boy, I can understand, parents. It gets scary.